Hi, and welcome to the very first episode of CaveGen Update. What the hell is a CaveGen anyway? Well, I guess a simple answer to that is, it's a level editor for a very old game called Hannah and the Pirate Caves. To give a more comprehensive answer, I would need to go back to the beginning. In the beginning, there was a man called Robot Duck, and he made a platform game called Hannah and the Pirate Caves. You play a gigantic squirrel called Hannah, and her job is to collect treasure chests around the level and get to the end without dying. And in her way are things like arrows and dynamites and boulders and a variety of things that can kill her, and these can be combined into intricate traps and puzzles. It was the ability to chain these objects together that gave the game the depth for interesting level design. And besides the game, Robot Duck also produced a cave maker, which is basically a level editor for the game, for anyone to make their own level. The people who made these levels, they came together and formed a community called the Interguild. And some of the people thought that while the current cave maker was serviceable, they could make a better one themselves. The first person to do this was this bloody legend called Canadian Stick Death. This pretty much took the original cave maker and turned everything up to 11. It was around the same time that I was learning how to code, so I thought, hey, I can do this too. So I made my own level editor called CaveGen, and this is what it looked like. Yeah. Well, originally it wasn't really meant to be a level editor. It was meant to be this thing that would generate the basic framework of the level for you. Things like the passageways and the junctions between them, all at the click of a button. That's why I called it CaveGen. You would generate a cave with a button click. But then I thought I'd make a full-blown level editor where you could place traps and starting positions and all kinds of stuff. And this was okay, but the issue with the first version of CaveGen was that no one who didn't use Windows could really use this thing. It was a Windows-only application. So a couple of years later, I learned how to write web code. This is where the second version of CaveGen came about. This was a pretty simple version of the original. It didn't have the generate button, but you could do the basics. But it wasn't quite as fully featured or usable as Canadian Stick Death's Cave Maker. And worse still, around that time it became very difficult to upload new levels to HATPC due to a lack of support from the website that hosted it. So at that point hardly anyone was playing the game anymore. Until recently, that is, where this guy called Droid Freak, another bloody legend, he comes along and remakes the entire game, well, almost all of it. Let's call this game HATPC Reborn, and here I saw an opportunity to make it easy to create levels again, by having essentially a play button in the Cave Maker itself that would open up HATPC Reborn in a new window for you to test the level that you were making. And this is where the third, and hopefully final, iteration of CaveGen came about. This is another website, but with the intent this time to pretty much throw in the whole kitchen sink. So not just make levels, you can play them and share them, store them, everything. And that's what CaveGen is as it stands now. Now time for a quick demo of CaveGen. Now this is a level I made a long time ago called Chaos Theory. I'm just using this to demonstrate the level editor. So this yellow squirrel thing is the starting position of the player. These golden boxes are the treasures that you need to collect to finish the level. On the left hand side we have the palette where you can choose tiles to place in the level. For example, if I want to place a new treasure, I choose this guy and then I can paint them on the grid and these will appear in the level. Now to play this level, all I have to do is press the play button. Now before, back in the old days, you would have to upload your level to a website called Neopets, and after they stopped supporting the game, the whole process was really long and arduous. So now all you need to do is press this button, and this opens a new tab. Eventually, bear in mind this is a work in progress, so this is HATPC Reborn loading up here, and there's the level that we just edited. So I'll quit that and go back to the main editor. So let's say I wasn't happy with those treasures, I can undo them with this button. There's also hotkeys for all these things. And if I want to copy the code for this level and edit it somewhere else, I can click on this button here, which is the clipboard. And if I want to change the size of the brush when I'm painting, I can use this slider. So I can paint a whole bunch of boxes, for example. So that's the editor itself. There are means of sharing levels with other people. So this drop down on the left are my personal caves. These are largely private. However, if I go into properties, I can choose to make some of these levels public. So for example, Chaos Theory I've already made public with this checkbox here. And any levels that you make public will appear in this middle drop down. And there's Chaos Theory, which you just saw, and there's other levels as well. So if I, for example, select somebody else's, let's choose this one. So this is somebody else's level by Soccer Boy, but I cannot edit this as it does not belong to me. Going back to one of my levels, you can also rebuild the level completely. So you can set the width, the height, or the name. And if you want to start from scratch, you just click rebuild. So let's say I want a cave of 40 width and 40 height. So change these to 40 each. Click rebuild, and that starts from scratch. If I did that by mistake, and that was a terrible mistake, I can just undo and go back to where I was before. And there's also a very basic profile. Right now it's just your name, and you can create a new cave by clicking the button up here. I also thought it would be fun in each of these episodes to check out the community activity on CaveGen for the last month. Now I've just started, so there's only a few days of activity, but let's check out some of the levels that have been made by other people over the last week. So Lunar Abyss was born from a really interesting phenomenon that was noticed in HATPC Reborn recently, where if you have more than one starting position, you can actually control more than one Hana at the same time. Though there's this weird constraint where only one of them can jump, and the other one can jump, but only when the first one is in midair. It's all rather complicated, but people found lots of interesting opportunities to create some cool designs. So this is Lunar Abyss, and the idea of this is that you have two players or two Hanas that you control. They're kind of separate from each other, and you kind of work together to help each other get to the end goal. So let's give this a quick try. So as you can see, they both move at the same time, and it's quite difficult to control as they can easily get out of sync. So I'll use the bottom one to... Oh no, I was going to use the bottom one to unblock the top one, but I have to double jump like this. There we go. And now we've got the interesting task of getting past these spikes for the bottom guy. So I have to jump with the top one first and then jump with the bottom one, and I hope I get over. Let's give it a try. Okay, so let's keep going. Now, if I had more time, I'd probably think about this a bit more, but let's try and hit this dynamite and see what happens. Okay, so let's open it up for the bottom Hana. The top one is still stuck. So there's an arrow there, and I know I need to hit that bottom steel crate to drop the other ones down, hence releasing the top Hana. So let's try and hit that arrow. So the bottom Hana is nicely stuck, that's convenient. Let's hit that arrow. Okay, so now the top one, now here's an issue. The top one can progress, but the bottom one is trapped. However, it looks like there's a way to release the bottom one with the top one. So let's jump over this dynamite, hit the... Okay, that was interesting. Well, it looks like dynamite does not work as in the original. I hit that dynamite from the side and it just went up. So there you go. There's bugs in this game, but it's very new and they will be ironed out as people come across them. So Yimmy, one of our community members at the Interguild, did some experiments into this double Hana glitch to see how they change the mechanics of the game. Now the bug we saw in the last level may be explained in this one. So normally when you hit a dynamite from the right, it will go to the left. and as you saw in the last game, it just went up, which is very odd. In this one, I'm going to hit some dynamites from the left, and they go left, which just makes no sense until we get to that one. So it seems that dynamites to the left of the second Hannah are kind of broken, and the ones to the right are ordinary. Interesting stuff. Yeah. Finally, we have Magic Act by Soccer Boy. Now this one doesn't use the double Hannah glitch, but it did apparently exploit some other bugs in HATPC Reborn regarding boulders and spikes. Now I was playing this for like an hour yesterday and I was completely stumped. I couldn't figure out the solution. Unfortunately, Droid Freak, the guy who made HATPC Reborn, has apparently fixed some of the bugs that made this level possible. So I guess I'll never know how it was done. But all I know is that, I don't know if you can see this, let me just get to a better position. I mean, it's a very small level. All you have to do is remove the steel crate to the left of the door there. And the only way you can do that is to fire this arrow at it. But somehow you have to get it down to the bottom level without any boulders being in the way. And I cannot for the life of me figure this out. I heard some guys say you need to merge some boulders together, but I don't think that's possible anymore. But either way, it was a very clever level. Something else I'd like to factor into these videos is reading out your feedback and suggestions and giving some kind of response to them. This stuff is really valuable to me because a lot of the stuff that you guys have already said have been things that I would have never thought of myself. So it really does help me produce a better version of CaveGen for you. For example, Soccer Boy says, I'm not sure if other people use this feature, but having hotkeys for tiles could be helpful. In Canadian Stick Def's Cave Maker, I exclusively used Alt and the key to place things. So there are hotkeys in CaveGen, but they just aren't quite the same as they used to be in the original Cave Maker. So in the old Cave Maker, if you wanted to place a boulder, for example, you'd put your cursor over where you wanted it, and you'd press Alt and then O, and that would place a boulder there. Whereas on CaveGen, you have to click O, that selects boulders in the palette, and then wherever you click or press Insert on the keyboard, that will place the boulder. Now this is slightly different to the workflow of the older Cave Maker, and it's not one I use myself, but seeing as people have been using this in the past and they're used to it, I will add Alt keys as an alternative. Livio says, does it autosave? I had trouble figuring out how to save, and I ended up deleting my level in the process. Well, I tried to follow the model of Google Docs, where everything is autosaved whenever you make a change, and it's not totally obvious when this happens because it does it silently. So you don't have to save the cave, and it's unfortunate that he deleted his level. I know how he did that. He would have pressed the rebuild button, and then it would have created a new level with different dimensions, and he didn't know to undo. Again, this is a failing in the design of the user interface. These are things I can improve. For example, when you try to rebuild, it should tell you, are you sure? Do you really want to do that? You're going to wipe your entire cave. He also says, my main problem is also workflow stuff. Like I really want keyboard shortcuts of some kind. So again, same issue as Soccer Boy. They are there, they just aren't very clear. And to know which tool is currently selected. So I can solve that by simply highlighting the tile in the palette that is selected. And just going back to the first point about saving, something I should do is when you do have any changes saved, there should be some subtle way of telling you that, like a little pop-up or a toast or a notification or something. These are two things I'll be working on. So that gives you a rough idea of what I'll be working on over the next month, largely improving the user experience and adding those missing features that you kind of came to expect from previous cave makers. Another thing I'd like to add, and I'm about to finish adding actually, is a system of liking caves. This has two purposes. It can help me rank caves by quality, so the crap stuff kind of sinks to the bottom and the good stuff floats to the top. And also I can use this to determine which cave gets a live commentary from me in next month's episode. I hope that gives you an idea of what CaveGen is. And I know that both CaveGen and HATPC Reborn are a bit buggy right now, but they are very new projects and they are improving all the time. That's all for now. This has been Jebby on CaveGen Update. Visit cavegen.com to try it out yourself. See you next time.